Scheiße. Scheiße. Hey, stop. Thank you. Hey everybody, this is episode 31 and I was playing my old title called Strat King. Haven't been playing for a long time. It's a little challenge, especially to memorize the fast shit, but it worked kind of okay. Today's episode is about a few hacks, which probably you know, probably you don't know. It is about how to make the AMP1 easier for you to use in a few different situations. And the other part is we have a couple of mini heads here, the orange OR15 and the ENGL Fireball 25 and a little GCM 800 Marshall, which is nice little mini heads here, and we can do our usual A/B comparison to see what they are doing and what not. And you know, if you like that sound, if we can get that sound with the AMP1, with the Mercury edition or with the Iridium edition and whatsoever. Let's look into a few nice little details. Before we start, I would like to let you know that there is a virtual guitar summit this year. So the Guitar Summit is the event in Mannheim that has been taken place already. How many years? I don't know, 3-4 years. And of course, since we have COVID-19, there is no way to get a real gathering of people in a big venue. And I miss all this, meeting people. I miss, all the nice conversations and the news that we can exchange when you meet people. And of course, also the Electric Night, which is the big concert on the Saturday evening that I have been organizing every year. And we had such great people, Paul Gilbert last year, we had Guthrie Govan the first year, we had Oli John Roth as headliner, and of course, so many other great players, all the kind of stars coming to the event joined this electric party on the Saturday evening. Make sure you join in to this Guitar Summit, and there's a bunch of different exhibitors. There's a lot of nice content from different people. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell you any details, but they're working very hard last minute as usual to get the whole thing big and exciting. Anyway, check it out. It will be great, and I think it's free. So enjoy. Okay, let me talk about a few hacks that might be useful for you. I had a question kind of very often, like people have a Strat with single coils and a Les Paul with humbuckers. And then the problem is, how can I match both guitars with the AMP1? What can I do? Because when I put my clean volume on 7 or 8 for the Strat, everything is perfect for the Strat, but then the Les Paul is kind of too muddy or too loud, or it doesn't work. So here is a super easy hack for you guys to make that kind of thing work. We have the beautiful boost built in, and okay, wait, I get everything out of the effects loop from the song, so we are kind of stripped down to nothing. Guitar input, speaker, power, and this is what we hear. This is like the built-in reverb, there's the boost, and there's our clean channel. So let's start with Les Paul. And so here's my Les Paul. So a very simple rule with AMP1 is start with everything on 5. So I have volume on 5, bass on 5, middle on 5, treble on 5, and reverb a bit more. Let's put it on 5 too. Maybe I make even the master of the overdrive on 5, and I start even with the gain on 5. So this is what it sounds. And I do the overall master on 5. So now everything on 5. So this is a clean tone, which works with this Les Paul. I do have the clean tone here, which gives me the sparkle or less. I put it counterclockwise to get a warmer tone. Or I put it all the way up, or anywhere in between where you like it, for the sparkle. So, okay, that makes sense. Nice, nice clean tone. Everything on 5. So, then let's go back for the Strat and see how that sounds. And you will find out that this is like, oh, what a skinny, shitty Strat that is. It's the original 61, but it sounds like shit, you know. Okay, you know, it's a joke. I just engaged the boost and put the boost on full, and here we go. So, there is your switch to switch between a Strat and a Les Paul. I can go back for the Les Paul. If I need a little less volume for the Strat, I can use a little less boost on the boost. So I can. So this is kind of my volume controller. So there's only a little difference. And when I put it on all the way up, I get a nice, rich, sparkly, because I'm on the sparkle side with the tone control, sound for my Strat. So, okay, so this is clean on Strat, clean on Les Paul. And by the way, we can use a similar thing for overdrive. When I go for the vintage channel and using the boost, the whole thing on 5 makes even sense for the Strat. Okay, let's check the Les Paul. And mind, there is no magic. Everything was on 5. You know? I just changed the master volume. Okay, switch off the boost for the Les Paul, and we get. Okay, in this case, we can still use the boost for additional gain. And of course, the same thing works on the classic channel. So without the boost. And the modern channel too. Yeah, can try the same thing with the Strat now, but you can see, oops, it's all built in here, you know. And so this was my Strat clean tone. If I go to the vintage channel, or let's start vintage with a boost, without the boost, you know, a nice rock and roll tone. And now with the boost. Okay, absolutely usable. Now back for the classic. And for the modern. Yeah, so that's the solution how to switch two guitars and still, you know, don't have any extra pedals. Of course, you could have an extra pedal boost and do it with that kind of external pedal, but here my message is you can even do it with a built-in boost, and it's fairly practical. Okay, now next thing is we can arrange different sounds for the internal presets. So if you want to make the most use of the preset mode, there are a lot of options. So first, let me explain the preset mode again. So this is the standard mode where I toggle between clean channel and one of the pre-selected overdrive channels. And I have the boost and I have the reverb. I can put any of these combinations to the three internal foot switches. So now it's up to you what you actually need in your set. But a classic would be, I want my clean tone with the boost, because that's my Strat, in the first foot switch and the reverb. And then I have my vintage channel, blah, 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 without the boost or whatever, on that foot switch, and I have my lead with the boost on the third foot switch. Okay? It's in the instruction manual, but for those who don't know how to do it, I simply repeat it. Okay. How to program the foot switches: you press and hold. You do the setting that you like, and this is just the switching. It's not the knobs here. It's there is a way how to bring in and out the effects loop with the presets, but this is something that I will show you in the next episode when we go for the more advanced kind of things. Today's is the easy part. Next episode we come to the hard or to the more difficult things or the more complex things. But you know, start easy. So first thing is clean with boost and reverb on the first foot switch, press and hold. You set the thing, wait for the blinking, press the foot switch. So next thing would be the vintage channel. Did I say with or without the boost? For no reverb, no boost. Oh no, let's have the boost on the middle switch, which means I have to press and hold the reverb, hold it, wait for the blinking, and then press that foot switch that will later recall that setting. And then we have the classic channel with the reverb on and the boost for my lead tone on the third foot switch. Press and hold, wait for the blinking, and then press that foot switch again. So when I do anything here, nothing happens. This is still the standard way mode how to use it. Okay, let me show you how to recall the presets. Switch off the amp, press and hold the button while holding it down, power up the amp, and now you see this blinking. And what we've got here is first switch is your clean with the boost and reverb, second is the vintage with no reverb and the boost, and third is classic with boost and reverb. So okay, as you can see, the volume doesn't match, so I need to decrease the master volume of the overdrive channels because they were too loud, and increase the master volume for the clean. So now, still decrease. Hey, look where we are, 5 again. You know, how boring is this? 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. So, you know, 5 is a good number to get something standard out of the AMP1. So, now I want my solo tone to be louder, so I increase the volume of the classic channel, which I'm using here. Okay, so you got that. And of course, it could be any other combination of channels, boost, reverb into the 3 internal foot switches. Sorry, I repeat that many times because many people don't know that and forget about that. So the next level is using a foot switch, maybe a standard double foot switch, which is this homemade pedal because it's small, and with this pedal I can now get access to what used to be this switch and that switch. See, I'm still in the preset mode, and now this one switches to boost, and this one always toggles to the clean channel. Okay, boost and overdrive. So if I put it this way around, you can see this is actually what used to be that switch, and this is what used to be that switch. And if you combine both, you can make some kind of nice combinations. Think about what your layout could be that works for you best. So in my case, I would go for a clean tone, and I love to get all my 3 overdrive channels. So you could program your 3 overdrive channels in here, and then you press that button and you go back for your clean channel. And then you would program everything with a boost, and then you can still switch off the boost. If you are kind of, I like more boost on than off type of guy, which I am. So that's the way I usually do it. I have the clean channel with I have the clean channel on this foot switch, and then I have vintage, classic, modern, all with boost in the 3 internal foot switches. And then I have like 4 separate channels here. Everything can be tweaked with tone, with volume matched. So I have a 4-channel setup and still have the boost accessible. And with that extra boost switch, I even can get the Les Paul going if I want that. So that's a pretty flexible thing. Yeah, easy, but very effective. Maybe you want something different, but just think of here's 3 presets, and this is the top layer that goes back to clean and switches on and off the boost. If you think about all the options you get out of these combinations, you are already super flexible with the AMP1 system, super small system. Okay, that's the homemade foot switch with no relay, with no LEDs, and this always works. Just to show you again, but any foot switch that has no LEDs will definitely work. But there are also foot switches that you can buy in the same format, which I like a lot, from our friends from Laney. This is called the FS2 by Laney. Matches the Iridium in color very nicely. And this one does also work and gives you LEDs. The switching is performed by a voltage drop, which usually comes from kind of a shortcut from the switch from, you know, like tip or ring to ground. And some of these switches have the LEDs, and some of the switches have a pre-resistor in front of the LED. And depending on the value, it can happen that the pre-resistor, that the voltage drop is not big enough, so the AMP1 is not switching. So if you want to have a foot switch with LEDs, make sure you try it out with your AMP1, or you have to have some kind of guy modifying it to this kind of thing. So far, all these Laney foot switches worked, which is great because yeah, they have the same size like my homemade foot switch, which I did before Laney had their foot switch. And yeah, it's a nice one. So that's an option, but it could be any brand. Just check if you have LEDs that they work with the AMP1, and then you can, you know, switch to clean and boost. Okie doke. So this is my, let's make most out of the preset mode preach, so to speak. Still, many people don't use it in a way that they could benefit from it in the way that they need it. You know, just like with the boost and the clean strats, it's all there, but sometimes people don't find that. I know the amp like better than anybody else, and of course, I know what it can do, and I'm here to share this kind of experience with you guys. Okay. Now we had the other thing with the second master. Many guys want a rhythm sound and a lead sound. And of course, it's possible to use different channels here, and then like I did it with my classic channel to be way louder than the vintage channel, like here. Okay, this is super extreme now, but you can hear this is all done with the volume of the classic channel on the side. So you can match or dial in the volume level that you need for a rhythm sound or a solo tone with the existing things of AMP1. So this is just AMP1 by itself, nothing else nothing else connected. Here is another crazy hack. I showed you this minus boost a couple of times. Where can you see it? Okay, this is the minus boost. The minus boost is simply a volume control that deducts the volume from input to output. And in out, and there's a simple potentiometer that is switched in or out the single path from input to output. This easiest stuff, you can build it yourself. If you can hold a soldering iron, you can do that by yourself. So we had this in some other episodes before. And this can go into the effects loop, and this can even go into the effects loop when using effects. And here is the send, which is now used to my DD2 delay. And the output of the DD2 delay goes into the minus boost, and the output of the minus boost goes to the return. Fair enough. Okay. Here's my DD2. DD2, I can switch on and off. Okay, here's... for those esoteric guys who wonder what this kind of switch is, see this thing is modded. This switch is original, so if you go in a store and buy a standard DD3, a new one, or you have the old DD2, it sounds exactly like this, and it works very nicely with the AMP1, I believe. So, only on the old DD2s you can mod them like this. So the repeats get duller. And that's the thing that I love, because then I can have a warmer tone and the delay is not so present. That's a... Okay, compared to... Of course, without the mod, it's even longer. So it's not really fair to compare it. But maybe you hear this versus this. Okay. And now comes the minus boost. I can dial in some volume here. If I go to serial mode, it's super dramatic. Bypass, no difference. So, but when engaged, I can reduce the volume. So, rhythm volume, solo volume, any kind of difference you can set with this volume control works. Okay, here's something that I found out which is cool. You switch the whole thing to parallel. This only works with delays or effects that have an analog dry mix in the pedal. If it's a digital mix, anything in the effects loop when it's set to parallel with digital effects and dry signal, we get phase cancellation, very thin sounds. I can show you how to prove that, but here's first the thing that's killer is like, okay, I switched to parallel, and here is all the way up. Here is my delay. So now I want my rhythm tone. So I have the minus booster and I deduct the volume. And at the same time, the delay disappears. That's a cool thing. See? Out, full delay, full volume, in, no delay, and less volume. I think that's killer because you might want no delay on your rhythm tone. And then when you go for your solo, there's your delay. Okay, and then of course I can increase the decrease. I can reduce the volume even more with this control. Okay, so that's my hack. Well, let's call it my hack number 3. The first one was how to match a Les Paul or single coil and humbucker with a boost. The second hack was use the preset mode to all your advantages. And this is the minus booster and the analog, the parallel trick with the analog pedals. Okay? So we always, no, that's not always, but we sometimes get comments about, yeah, what's about the effects loop? Is it buffered? Yes, it's buffered. And is there any, it sounds so weird. There's a simple thing how to check the effects loop versus your effects. You simply have the patch cable and you put the patch cable from send to return. So this is the sound of the effects loop. So that's okay. If you put in an effects pedal in the loop or with another cable in the loop and it sounds totally weird, it's not the amp, because this proves that the amp sounds good. You know, so if you kind of troubleshooting your problems on your pedal board with the effects loop, simply use a patch cable in the loop to double check that the loop works fine. And then if that works fine, it must be your delay pedal. And by the way, this is the same for any amp. Any amp that has an effects loop can be checked with a simple patch cable. Okay? So that's the thing about the second master and using the minus boost or this kind of solo switch or how they call it. It's the passive volume control. There are other ways how to get a rhythm volume. One is the remote, of course. There is a master volume that you can set like a second master volume that you can store with a preset, or which you dial in here and activate as you like it. So that's one option. Or you can do the whole thing via MIDI. And if you're not using a big MIDI device, like a big MIDI controller, I have forgotten, but this is a nice little tool. It's actually a small foot switch that has a full MIDI controller built in. This is a Russian company, AMT, and you can actually assign anything to these two switches. You could use this for power, so for master volume, for whatever. So many, many options here on this one. Oops, that's me. Look at me, bam, here we go. So that's the tiny little double foot switch that you can use to control it. And of course you need our MIDI 1 adapter to convert the MIDI signal into this. It's a bit more complicated than this super simple minus boost, but it works. And the other option, if you want to go even smaller, is the MIDI Baby by Disaster Area Effects, or what's the company called? MIDI Baby. As you can see, there's a MIDI out on this side, a 5-pole out, and some little USB things to program the switch. I know most of the guys hate to program stuff. It's a bit complicated, but it's when you have done it once, it works like hardware. You know, nowadays that kind of technology is super stable as well. So what I'm saying is there are many ways to get solutions if you want to have certain special functionalities like second master volume and not using the big remote because you want to stay small. Okay? Then another hack or another kind of thing how to actually mount your AMP1 to a pedal board. I mean, if you're using the AMP1 just like self-contained in the bag, put it on the floor and nothing else. Some people put it on their cabinet just like a regular top. It is all at your kind of convenience or whatever you're used to. For me personally, I like it when it's on the floor and I can use the built-in foot switches. Yeah, that's the way the amp was designed, but you know, it has the recess for the handle, so it can sit on something with a handle even, which could be a cabinet. And then, you know, you use an external foot switch or you play just one single channel of this, you know, even though it has 4 channels, there's nothing wrong just to use one channel. Why not, you know? I mean, Ian Crichton from Saga, he uses the classic channel and he uses the clean channel and he uses a standard foot switch in here, and it sits on his big cabinet with a super expensive, nice tube head, which is never used because this is what he plays, because it sounds exactly like he wants it, and it's more consistent than any tube amp he has ever played. That's why he uses that one. I'm not saying this amp is better, it's more consistent, so it's a better solution for him. And yeah, wherever he goes, this is the thing that delivers him the sound. Okay, but the question is, if you mount this on a pedal board, you want to fix it in a way. I have seen people using cable ties, huge big cable ties. Yeah, we see the picture here. That's one way of doing it. It looks a bit funky to me, but hey, I mean, Eddie Van Halen has kind of these stripes on his guitar. Maybe if Eddie would have been using this one, he would have the cable ties all the way from left to right, from north to south, from east to west, and whatever. that's one way of doing it, but I think it's not the most elegant way. If it works for you, I'm happy. You know, that's not a problem. Then I see many units have been used with Velcro, which is kind of this hairy and fluffy stuff meets the needles. And then you, let me get, I show you. Then you have to put this, oh, okay, this is, by the way, using our Easy Locks. This is a secret amp, by the way. We have some modifications, just like on tube amps. You see a Klopman logo. My dear friend Andreas Klopman once had an idea, maybe we can make this sound a little bit more like this. So we did, and here's the amp just in the collection. So what I have seen with people is that they put the Velcro here, and then you kind of connect it, you get the rubber feeds off, and then in the end, I think maybe you destroy the amp too much. So what I like is leave the amp as it is. If you are absolutely into using Velcro, maybe you just use a little, what is it, piece of thinner wood. You get it, for, you know, like a little sheet of wood, and have the Velcro on each of the sides. So that kind of gets you the right level. So the amp connects to your pedal board on the one side and connects the extra little plank of wood, thin plank, connects to the housing. That's something I have seen, which I kind of find okay. And you can, I mean, you can. Some people put it all over the place, and it's for me it's maybe a bit too much. So I would put it here, and I would put it there, and this is absolutely sturdy, super reliable, sitting on a pedal board. But the thing about Velcro is, if you don't have the military specs Velcro, when it's getting hot and humid in summer, the glue starts to melt, and then the whole thing, you know, falls apart or moves around a bit. I had that, and so I'm not the biggest fan of Velcro myself. And therefore, I came up with the idea of this two magnetic fixing things here we call the Easy Locks. These are two metal plates that are magnetic, and these are the two neodymium magnets that you can put on your pedal board, and it's super easy. You simply screw them on the pedal board, and here's my hint. Maybe you can see that I can move the magnets a bit, so I don't put the screws too tight. So the magnets can move a little bit, and then when this is connected to the amp, it is kind of, it sucks to the metal things. Let's get this off, whatever. And then, you know, this is really heavy. You know, the pedal board is, it takes, you know, it takes me some power to get it off. And yeah, that way I have no Velcro, I have no glue, I have no dirt, I don't do anything to the unit. I think that's just an elegant way how to connect things. So yeah, maybe it's good to see for you again, and maybe think about your pedal board. If you use cable ties, I'm happy. If you use Velcro, I'm happy. If you do whatever, I'm happy. But I just wanted to show you that again as a hack how to fix it. And I personally would like to see this kind of fixing on more products in general, because I like the principle. There's for me, it works fine on my pedal board for years, and it's so easy to take the amp off the pedal board and do a super small gig with a super small setup and without my big pedal board. So easy. There's a thing about the foot switches. Foot switch here, they are super sturdy. You can use them. Sometimes it happens that the foot switch gets stuck in a way. So this is something you can actually get the foot switches out just by like this. So the foot switch itself is only clicked into the amp. And can we show this? Where's the camera? Okay. So I have good nails. I'm not a flamenco guitarist, but I can go under the edge of the switch and lift it out. And inside there is a micro switch, as you can see. Yeah. So this kind of switches, micro switches, are used on computer mouse. They are made to perform millions of switching functions. So they were operations. So they are super reliable. And this is our mechanics. And the mechanics of the foot switch, they are also super sturdy. It is kind of when your foot is on the edge here, the foot energy goes to the housing. This is all designed very, very properly. But sometimes there is some dirt in between, the switch and the transparent housing. So you can simply get that out, and you can even get that out by pressing this kind of, I don't know, or you can see, clean it and put it back in, done. And if you have troubles to get it out, there's another hack. Do we have a knife here? I think it's on the shelf, top shelf knife. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe one lower. I've seen it this afternoon. Okay, so that's the knife. And another thing would be a piece of paper, so you don't scratch anything. Just, yeah, somebody give me a piece of paper. So here, little shitty piece of paper. You have the shitty piece of paper, and then I will get the strut out of the way. So the paper protects from not screwing, and you use the knife to get under the foot switch. Done. Nothing is scratched. Put back in. Works fine. So that's another hack in case you need it. Not many people need that, but just in case, this is the way the amp is designed. And it doesn't need to be open. Our foot switches, they actually always work. We had nearly no failures with that. So yeah, the only thing could be some stuff in there. There's another super simple trick that you can do with our amp. You go and buy those rubber, what is it called? Rubbers that you get to, household. What is it? English. Oh, my English doesn't work. Anyway, these rubber things to play or play. What was the game? Like this, and then okay, rubber things. These can be used to fix the knobs if you want to make sure the knob on bass stays on 5. You have a rubber thing and you put it underneath the knob, and you make a bunch of loops, and then in the end your knob will be kind of a bit tighter. Okay, so see, this sucks in, and then this thing can still be moved, you know, but it's, even if you touch it like this, it will not change position. Yeah, this is, yeah, I mean, this stuff is called the elastic band. Pew! Yeah, we've done a lot of bullshit with this when I was in school, very young. But you see the thing, you can kind of tighten the knobs once they are fixed. So other people use duct tape or write numbers down there. It's any way you like it, it's okay, but that's the thing you can also do. And of course you can reverse it and get it out again. So yeah, I think that's the hacks for this episode, which are the easy ones. In the next episode, I will show you a few more, which are more complicated, but of course, they give you a lot of options and things that you might maybe not think this amp can give to you. I think we can check some questions before we do the big AB things comparison. So, Martin, what do we hear? The mix between direct and room sound. Well, I have a clip-on mic here, and the direct sound is coming from the bluBOX. As we always have it in every episode, it's the AMP1 into the bluBOX, and then yeah, it's a clip-on mic which has what's called a ducking effect. So we have a kind of compressor that should close the microphone when I play, but it's kind of a compromise thing. So you hear a little bit of that room as well. Yeah, but what you hear is AMP1 with bluBOX. Okay. So next question, Sven Becker. Hey Thomas, is it possible to have the AMP1 in preset mode with the knobs serving as the preset selectors, and then using an additional MIDI board only sending CC for switching boost? Okay, that's possible. Wait a minute. So CC commands for switching boost, no problem. I mean, this is like either you have a standard foot switch for switching boost, or you have a MIDI foot switch for doing this. The only thing is, it needs to be a control change command and not a program change command. So that's the thing. If you are not a MIDI expert, I try to make you one in the super. Here, this is how it looks. These are the easy locks, just the stuff that you have seen on the pedal board, how to fix the amp, and it comes with a little description how far it is, and you can also download the mounting instructions. And these are the home plate picks for those who haven't tried those. So I talked about those in the last episode. Weird shit that I grew up with. Anyway, so, and this is our beloved manual, and there is the MIDI side. So, which is in German 37 and 96 in English. Let me double check if I'm correct or if I'm not correct. Oh no, this is 89 on English. Okay, let's do it in English. So if you look at this kind of let's call it chart, you see two kind of commands. One is a program change command, and there is a control change. Control change is CC, and program change is PC. So, and the CC commands are always separated from anything that is program switching. So that's kind of on another layer. So use CC commands and you can do that. That's the answer for Sven Becker, okay? Next question here, Jens Geilich. He is here every episode. Okay, it's German. Lieber Thomas, vielen Dank für die netten Grüße. Autogrammkarte, die in meiner Bestellung beilag. Ich habe mich gefreut, die CD ist übrigens... okay, he's just says thank you for... He bought a CD and I sent him a little card. Yeah, okay. So he's happy, I'm happy. Cool. Any more questions? Osmium Studios, okay. I know from Christian Kohler that you can get a great bass sound with Marshall Plexi, I guess. Has anyone tried AMP1 with bass cap for rock bass tone? Yes. Let's put it that way. I tried the AMP1 kind of a reamp thing in the studio to get a rich rock old school bass tone, and it sounds killer with a clean channel. And this is yeah, it sounds good. Put it that way. If I would be a bass player, I would need more watts than 100 watts. I would go for 500 watts for my bass amp. So I officially would not recommend the AMP1 as a bass amp, but it makes great bass sounds. And by the way, if you are into experimenting with bass sounds, the Iridium edition, the modern channel of the Iridium edition is also a killer, heavy saturated bass sound, because the modern channel can handle drop tunings so well, which is kind of a bass anyhow. So if you have a bass and you need lots of overdrive on your bass, or maybe in the studio want to experiment to have a blend between a more clean sound and an overdriven sound, the Iridium modern channel is something that's really fun, that really works, that is not muddy. That's the big point. It's punchy and defined notes that you get from the modern channel, and it works fine with the bass as well. So for me, it's more like a studio tool and not a live tool for bass. That's my personal, but hey, you can go and do whatever. So next question, Jefferson D. Tough question. Will there be some sort of BluFriday deal? Okay, BluFriday. I mean, you're talking about Black Friday, which is a big thing in the USA, and here in Europe they try to get something going. We don't do that in Europe. The only thing we do for a very limited amount of time in the US at Sweetwater, we still have a few of the silver AMP1s in the US, and we have a limited time for a special deal, which is the Black Friday deal. I think from the 20th to 24th of, what are we, November, so kind of like very soon. On the silver, on the very first AMP1s, only in the US at Sweetwater. Nothing in Europe, nothing in the rest of the world, so that's a Sweetwater only thing. We have limited this just to this very short time span, and we are not a deal company. BluGuitar is, well, you know, we don't have a big operation, we don't have a big warehouse, we don't have big stock. We used to have times where we had nothing in stock and couldn't ship. So now we are happy everything is on stock. But you know, yeah, we're not this kind of deal company. Sorry guys, the only deal you can get is on a silver, only for a few days in the US from Sweetwater, and that's it. Okay, next question. Bernhard Düngler. Is the power tube in the Mercury and Iridium reacting the same way when used only as a power amp through effects return? Yeah. Is it possible to change MIDI receive channel 1 on the AMP1 units? That's the next question. Would be helpful when you have 2 amp setups. Okay. So first question is, what is the difference between the power amp in the Mercury edition and the Iridium edition? It's very simple. This is a metal amp or a tight amp with its own character, and this is a classic rock amp that can also do a little bit of metal, but it's designed to be like a traditional amp. So, and the whole thing starts not only with preamps and one and the same power amp. I actually voiced both amps in the power amp section differently. And that's, yeah, that's a big difference. I can make a dirty show by plugging in directly into the power amp. Okay, it sounds pretty dull. I can make something else. I can use one preamp into 2 different power amps. Let's do it that way. So let me get the send from here and get the guitar in here. So see, this is going into, wait a minute, I simply go back for my standard mode, then so this is clean. Okay, this is the sound of AMP1. Mercury Edition power amp, and this is the preamp out that should go, oops, get rid of the echo, I have no room here. This goes now to the return of the Iridium. To hear that, we have to switch to the amp on my switcher. And this is, see, this is now the Iridium. So listen to the different tones of the 2 power amps. This is, oops, sorry, AMP1. See, this is a lot more mid-rangey, and this is a lot bassier, this is a lot deeper, and that's the current feedback. So this is voiced differently. Both power amps use the nanotube. Both power amps use a similar overall technical design, but they are voiced differently. And that's the same like if you compare it to a regular tube amp. A regular tube amp has power amp tubes, has a driver stage, and has an output transformer to make the high impedance signal low impedance for the speaker. So these components are used in any classic tube amp. And so we have the same components used in both power amps, but we voice them differently. So we do the same thing like it's been done in the tube amp world, we do it in the nanotube amp world, but they are sounding differently. Okay, the next question was, is it possible to change a MIDI receive channel on AMP1? No, because this is set and we try to keep that simple. Sorry guys, that's the way it is with AMP1. We try to be simple, which helps 99% of all the creatures playing that amp. But if you would, you have to come up with another solution, which is possible. But you cannot set another MIDI channel on AMP1, not with the software. Okay, next question here, Mr. Blue. Okay, Mr. Blue is blau. Okay, what strap locks do you use for your Strat? Dunlop. Wait a minute, what's the company called? This is actually, Locks. Locks it's called. So these locks, LOXX, I think it's the German company, and they stole the idea from something super stupid. When you have boats and trucks, or like on your convertible car, if you want to fix kind of these covers, you know, like plastic covers, this is the stuff that is used on boats. And I found this 25 years ago or whenever, very long time ago, and they are easy to change. And I got used to them because they're kind of not edgy, they are smooth, and I like them. The only thing is, after 10 years, maybe we can show, because they have already some wear, which, so here, on this is super narrow. Maybe we can get, if you see this ball here, when you look very, the guitar moves always, so kind of, it wears a bit, and I had one broken, but this takes 10 years or maybe even longer. So that's the only thing you have to double check after 10 years, that this tip is still in good condition. But besides that, everything, yeah, I like them. They're sturdy, they're very comfortable, and it's easy. And on the other side, I have like several in the guitar strap, so I can have a few different positions. Like this is my rock position where the guitar is low, and this is my fusion position where the guitar is a bit higher, which I actually should have done sitting on a chair. Yeah, that's the thing with my strap locks. So unfortunately no Dunlop, but I think Dunlop does something similar. Crooked Circle, what kind of preamp would you recommend to get a great tone with a bluBOX? The bluBOX is a speaker simulator that gives you some great speaker cabinets and a little drive as well when you drive it hard. The preamp basically is a matter of taste. I mean, there's a bunch of pedals out there that's even in small size. I designed, you know, what is my cheapo? My cheapo is the Golden Brownie. The Golden Brownie into a bluBOX, into the line-in, works. Do we see this? Ugh, my cable, no, it's not long enough. I'm killing Les Paul. Okay, so this is, where are we? This is the Golden Brownie, for instance. This is like a GSM 800 style overdrive, super cheap, $50 or whatever. So, and it sounds great. It's actually sounding great into the bluBOX. You know what? We can do that just for fun. Plug it in here. Get a patch cable, maybe we use that. Oops, sorry. And we go out here into directly into the line in. I hope we don't have funny noises. So let me see if, okay, I need an input as well. Pedals without input, no sound. That's for sure. So this used to be a guitar input. So of course, this doesn't sound as good as an AMP1, and I need a little bit more high end. But hey, how cheap can we go? 50 bucks for your preamp and a bluBOX, and you can gig, you know. And it's, if you would dial in another pedal which gives you a little bit cleanish tones, have another pedal for it, and then you have a 2-channel preamp, okay? That's the quick one. Okay, I put this back in here, I put that out here, and I save my power just in case I need it, and this goes away. Okay, next question. Kia Motherfaker, are you German? Yes, I am. Ja, ich bin Deutsch. Ich kann Deutsch sprechen. Deutsch in ganzen Sätzen. Guten Tag, guten Abend. Yeah. Okay, another question from Crooked Circle again. To specify, I was talking about mic preamps after the output, or should just go directly into interface. If you use the bluBOX, you can go straight into, here we have the bluBOX. Maybe you can see, this is our bluBOX. You can go straight into the interface, but this is the XLR, which gives you a mic level, so you would need a mic level input. You don't need a specific mic preamp unless your input sensitivity is high enough for that signal here, or there is a line level output. So the line level can go straight into your interface. So there is not an extra preamp needed. I prefer the XLR since it's balanced and it's transformer balanced. So in case there would be hump issues, the bluBOX has a ground lift switch. But if you don't have a problem, it works. And if you have the iBox, that's the same thing that's already built in here. So yeah. Anyway, it works direct into your whatever interface without having a real mic preamp. Okay. How does the AMP1 take drive pedals? Well, the answer is very well. Just check on our Facebook and whatever page and see all the pedal boards we are posting there, and there's tons of drive pedals in front of the amp, and yeah, it's designed to take pedals on the clean channel because it's like it's a tube style clean channel, and even the vintage channel is dynamic. Its dynamic range is big enough to take pedals, and it is a perfect amp for pedals. So yeah, check all our users. There's hundreds of AMP1 users that love it with pedals. And then after a few years, 50% discover that they don't need the pedals anymore because they found that kind of sound that they were looking for in the AMP1, sounding maybe even better. But sometimes it's a magic pedal, and if the pedal is exactly what you want, hey, this pedal, put it to the AMP1, and yeah, happy days, all good. So is the AMP1 usable for bedroom levels? Sure. And how does it take drive pedals? Well, as I said, the AMP1 is designed to take pedals, and it is designed to be both a real amp on stage, which means the master volume is between 4, some people only go for 3 because it's 100 watts nanotube power, which is very loud. On the other hand, it can be stage volume, even arena volume, just like a big head, not like these tiny heads. And then all the range from like 0, 1, 2 is home level, and it sounds super rich. And that's the other advantage of this amp. It is killer at home. It's also killer on stage. For me, AMP1 is an amp that works in any situation. At home, in the studio, on stage, internationally, whatever you can think of. In a simple setup, in a complex setup, I put all my experience in this just little tiny box. Just, yeah. So that's the AMP1. Where are we? What have you learned from doing the mass production of AMP1? What were the biggest lessons to change, and what? So what I have learned from mass production is, by now, AMP1 is exactly how I always wanted it to be. The AMP1 looks cool. You know, the colors are right. The LED are right. Everything is perfect. At the very, very, very early days, we had some trouble with the side controls here, and there was some crackling kind of thing because they used trim pods that didn't have the lifespan that we actually specified. But you know, lifespan means they live, and then they start to crackle. And at the beginning, everything was fine, so we couldn't notice that. So only after a while we noticed that our very, very first production run had some issues here. We fixed all that. I think everybody should be happy now. And by now we have the stuff that we actually wanted, and these amps will outlive most of the other amps that I see in my apartment behind me and in the next room and downstairs. So I'm very convinced about AMP1 being a reliable product. So that's one thing. And the cosmetics is like, I want them, and you know, little details even. Can you pass me the box? Yeah. So this is something I'm also proud of. You know, this box shipping with AMP1, you know, it is covered, it's matte finish, and this paper is actually scratch resistable. You know, this is tiny little details. You can try to scratch with my nails, but you don't see any scratches. And then see the precision. I can put this on here, and that's how it should be, you know? So, perfect. I have nothing to complain about anymore. You know, if I had something, I would come back and do it. But this thing is now how I designed it and how I wanted it. So, no complaints. Okay, next question. Oh, we got tons of questions today. Is there significant difference in tone and maybe feel on the bluBOX loaded with the cap or not? Yes, It is, but it's not as big as most people think. I've done this before. I have a load here, and I'm honest, with the load it sounds better. That's why I always use the load. Since that's also the setup that I have, that's the setup that I have on stage, because my AMP1 is connected to the speaker and then goes out of the bluBOX to the PA. So when I disconnect the load like this, the volume changes. Did you hear a difference? It's a touch of a difference, not much. Because bluBOX compensates that. You hear more when I switch to vintage channel, overdrive, because the vintage is the most dynamic and most sensitive channel in the AMP1. Where's the level? Ah, sorry. Yeah. Put it on 5 and everything's healthy. Okay, now I put the load back in. Need a bit more. That is the difference. It's a touch more, yeah, alive. That is because this power amp now sees a real speaker connected to that output. And this is the whole 9 yards. You can go with a all guitar perfect setup. Having a real load and not a load box, and having a nice bluBOX doing the job. Hey guys, I stopped with the questions here because we wanted to hear some A/B comparisons and we are running late. Let's see what Fireball has to say. Or maybe, yeah, okay, let's start with the Fireball. So, where's my Fireball? Where's my Fireball? Fireball should be 4. Ah, that's not, okay. Wait a minute. I use the switching system. That's the clean sound. Okay, there's a Fireball 25. As you can hear, AMP1 is way louder. So when I go for AMP1, here's my 100 watt power amp, of course. So, and this is... Okay, that's a little bit unfair because I showed you 100 watts versus whatever, 25. So I will decrease the master volume of the AMP1 and compare then with a higher level on the bluBOX, the Fireball. Okay, so I stay before the breakup point of where it's really getting muddy on the power amp. So that's a nice clean tone. There's nothing wrong about that. Yeah, I like that sound. Let's check if we get anywhere with the AMP1. Okay, we are... Yeah, it's already overdriving. So I need... If I want to get that kind of sound, I can overdrive my AMP1 as well. But I think that's not the point here. That's the angle. That's the AMP1. Yeah, just roughly. But I think that's a pretty nice clean tone. It just doesn't have the headroom. I can get similar, but I have tons of headroom if I want that. Hey, we are in for overdrive. Let's check the lead channel. This is... We need some humbuckers for this. ENGL needs humbuckers. And here we go. Let's play this beautiful monster. Okay, that's a nice tone from the ENGL. Nice. Okay, I try first the Mercury edition, which is here. Of course, we need overdrive. I go straight into classic. So now I need an more open sound. I need less this. Give me something here, which is tone. Sorry, this is... Too fizzy, so close the classic tone. This is the ENGL, and this is the AMP1. They are not exactly the same. I would say the AMP1 is a bit warmer compared to the ENGL. So the ENGL has its beauty, but I think, you know, AMP1 is... Yeah, the ENGL has a certain mid-range which is kind of nice, and we are simply bigger sound. I can reduce the bass to trying to get there. Yeah, sounds good to me. I could try the Iridium. and see how that sounds. I go straight for the modern channel. Oh, way too loud, sorry guys. I'm not used to play at mini head volume. I'm more the, you know, this is gig volume for me. And what I found when I did the first impression is like, I couldn't gig with these. They are probably loud enough for you guys, but I miss the headroom, sorry. Yeah, this is the Iridium. And this is the ENGL. Yeah, not a bad sound. I don't know which one you prefer. I kind of like them both. If I had more time, I can get even closer, but who cares? Let's check the GCM 800. And I have to get the cables to the other. So speaker goes into, make sure the angle is on bypass and switched off. Let's hear the output of this one. And that's another great amp when it comes to humbuckers. 800 is here. Sorry, I'm already on. Okay, how hyper? I can hear a little bit more power. Let's see the master. This is already power amp saturation. Anything higher than 5 is like... So I think the sweet spot here is around 5. This is just on the edge of breaking up. You know, anything more is getting fluffy. That's to me the sound of this 800, which is... Okay, no boost, I'm guessing here. I close the tone here, put everything in the middle. I haven't done any AB before. This is all live now on camera. And I go for my AMP1 and see. Okay, tone control in the middle. This a little bit down, so. See how close it is? Middle, 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 gain on whatever 8, and tone almost closed. I'm not far apart from the other sound. So that's the Marshall. So very similar sound. And the point is, I'm master at 4, and this is where this guy stops and where the fun begins with when I'm on stage. 4 is only when I'm in big trouble and not allowed to do my thing. I know most people are quite happy with 4 already, but I never play under 5. You have to tame me and get me chains not to go under 5. So for me, the fun starts at 5, 6 even. That's my sweet spot. And this is more headroom than this 800 has. So that's the GCM 800. And now let's double check the orange. Let me change the speaker out as well. And we need power. So we have on standby 15 and 7 watts. Well, let's make it 15. Yeah, I like that amp because I checked that briefly, and it has a sweet spot already, which I... Okay, no, this is the AMP1. We go for this fellow. The problem, but I can hear right now, is the volume is no stage volume. I mean, same problem like with the Marshall. 15 watts is 15 watts. It's pretty impressive, but on stage with a real drummer, it's getting... I couldn't do it. Sorry, guys. If you can, I'm happy for you, but it's like... See, this is like from middle position to 2 o'clock. That's my, what I would consider to be the sweet spot of the power amp. When everything is kind of interacting, the sagging and clipping of peaks and making it rich and... So the sound is best where it was set, and the same. Too much gain is first noisy, and then it falls apart. But that's a good sound. Okay, that's the orange on 15 watts. Sweet spot, and I think we simply stay with the classic here, and we are in the same territory. So I hear a little bit less mids on the orange, so I go and dial in a touch less mids from 5.5 to 4.5 and even more to 4. sounds almost identical. If you can tell a difference, you are good. I, use the switcher, and here's the settings. For those guys who want to please have the overhead, I read the values is 9 on gain. Well, master is on 8, but that doesn't have any influence on the tone. Bass is on 6, middle is on 4.5, and treble is on 6. And the custom control was all the way closed. And that's your orange OR15. So this was a quick run through a few nice mini heads. We'll have more in the next episode. I think there's a PV coming, and well, let it be a surprise. You will see in the announcement, and we show you a few more mini heads in the next episode, and I will show you even more hacks. And since we didn't have the time to finish up with all the questions, I will save those for the next episode. And yeah, don't forget to go and check out the Guitar Summit website. They are working on it. There will be more stuff coming. And when it's going on live on the 28th, there will be tons of nice content. Anyway, so it's been big fun to go into details again, and there's more to come next week, next Wednesday, 8 p.m., 2000 hours here in Central Europe time, or 3, Central Pacific time, whatever. See you guys, all the best, cheers, take care.